I'm very impressed. It looks great.
It's nice, light can really change a room.
I didn't have a plan for how to start. Nice to be doing a podcast with you, Jimmy. Would you like to introduce yourself to the
Well, this is our first ever podcast, so
yeah, first ever.
We make
first
lights. We don't do podcasts, but
no, we do both. We're multi-talented.
It's true. It's true. I'm kind of excited about it.
First things first, happy 10-year Nanoversary. Did you ever think when you started that you would be at this 10-year point?
Never did I think it would get this far.
What did you think when you started? Like, what was
Honestly,
your goals?
It was just, we never had the goal of starting a company. So when we first started developing products, I was working in consulting. I had a full-time job. We were doing client work during the daytime. And we just wanted to create products for fun. It was like, I got pretty good at project management. I was talking to Tom and Christian all the time. We're like, hey, why don't we make something? Why don't we just make something fun? Let's do something solar related, energy related, so that we could actually have a little pet project on the side. And that's, our first product was a solar product. We didn't really know how to ship it anywhere because we didn't know how to ship lithium ion. But then we created a super energy efficient light bulb to go with this solar product. And then, after we had these two products, we had a solar product and a light bulb. And we're like, well, everyone needs a light bulb. Let's just ship that. So we launched that on Kickstarter, and it kind of took off. But even then, we weren't really thinking of it as a business. We were just like, wow, our little pet project actually became something. Let's actually try and grow it into something more. Let's actually build on top of that. And then, one thing led to another, and eventually some investors heard about us. And they're like, hey, who are you three guys working part-time on this project, creating the world's most energy efficient light bulb without any sort of budget besides crowdfunding? And so when we got that first round of investment, I remember I was leaving that meeting. I was like, so when am I supposed to quit my job? And the investors looked at me and they're like, if we need to answer that question for you, then we're in trouble. So yeah, I think overall, to be here where we're at today, which is 10 years after starting the company, it's beyond a dream come true. I think we've already reached so many different milestones in the company where it was I never thought we'd be selling our products at the Apple Store. I remember when we first got in there, I was like, yeah, it's like planting your flag on the moon kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then for us to have customers around the world using our products, and you see it on crazy YouTubers, big name ones like Mr. Beast, having our products. It's I never thought we would have had that. So it's definitely beyond a dream come true.
When I joined Nanoleaf, it was, I think, 4 years ago. And already, if this is the 10-year anniversary, that means I was only almost halfway through the journey, right? And you guys are already so established. I already knew the product when I saw it. The light candles only came out in 2016, right?
I believe so, yes.
So that had been 2 years of massive, explosive growth. So I know you guys started with the light bulb, but when panels happened, how did that change the game from being the light bulb company to being the panel company? What was the feeling you had when it was the first time you saw one of your products in the wild?
Yeah, I think it's really cool when you see it on YouTube videos. You're just browsing around and then, hey, that's our lights, right? It's an amazing feeling. I remember I was in the Middle East and I went to the Virgin Megastore and they had this huge display front and center, and I was like, this is my first time in the Middle East, in Dubai, and I'm seeing our panels just on the walls. It's a trippy feeling. I would say the first few years of setting up Nanoleaf, there was a lot of learning that we had to do. For myself, this is the first time I've been the CEO of a company, right? And the first few years, I felt what does a CEO do? How do we actually do this? And I would say the first few years, we were just trying to build up so that we had the foundation of a business ready to support something bigger. So I would say the first 3 years, we were setting up manufacturing, supply chain, getting it so that we had, the Asia side of the business that could actually manufacture the products that we created. And then we were actually creating the North American side of the business that is able to contribute the software and the design aspect of things. So it was definitely, I feel like we've gone through different stages of growth. And of course, like the 10-year anniversary, I think that that's a major milestone, but we're still growing. You know, I think that we're still just kind of at like a middle point of our growth. We're still at an early stage. So it's still like early days of smart home, and there's still, you know, a limitless amount of innovation that could continue to go into this company. I think that people assume that, oh, your products are $200. They don't realize how much engineering went into it, how much like import tariffs are, for example, right? Like 28% import tariffs. Like people don't take that into account, and it's hard. It's really hard to come up with new ideas and make them come to life, right? So something like the lines or even our light panels, like we were the first to come out with something like that. And for consumers to see the finished product, they don't see all the iterations that went into it. All the little bickering about, you know, should it be like this? Should it be like this? Should we change this detail of it? And all those iterations in order to come up with a completed product. So I think that would be something where it's really cool to see. I don't know if consumers really care to see it, but like me being able to see it firsthand it's you know, I feel like I'm privileged to be in this position where I could be part of that product design journey. And I'm even more privileged to be able to have the final say on how products end up getting designed. And ultimately it's a team effort, right? We've got you know, a pretty amazing world-class product team. So it's definitely a privilege for me to be in this position where we could actually come up with ideas and actually bring them to life.
I think people assume that the company's a lot bigger than it is.
It's amazing what small teams could do. And, you know, over the last few years, like you've seen it firsthand, like we've got a tiny marketing team, a tiny R&D team, and we're just trying to make these cool products and trying to make a business out of it.
A lot of people online want to know what Nanoleaf's company culture is like. How would you describe that?
I think the company culture, I think company cultures are often a reflection of the founders. And, you know, for example, if someone actually visited our office, it's quite messy. Like if you saw my bedroom growing up, like you wouldn't be able to see the floor. That's how bad it was. But it's also, you know, there's different aspects of my personal philosophy that I try and apply to the company. And a lot of it is around this concept of harmony and balance, where, you know, like true happiness is not just me being happy, but it's the people around me being happy, my family being happy, my staff being happy, our customers being happy, our partners being happy. In terms of internally within the company culture, I feel like every one of my employees are my boss, right? And I treat them like that. You know, I tell people, like, hey, just boss me around. Like, you're in charge of this area. You tell me how to do things, because and that's why you're here. You're the expert in your field, and I trust and I want the people within the team to be successful. Within the company, I also believe a lot in promoting leadership. Like, I want everyone to be the leaders of their domain, and it's something that it takes time. Leadership, it takes experience, and it takes people fostering them in order to get to that point. So it's something that, you know, like, ultimately the company culture is reflective of what the founders actually push onto the rest of the team. So it's it's interesting. It's interesting to find that perfect balance and that perfect harmony where everything just works. So that's kind of my philosophy on it.
Well, I think you did a great job. It's great to work here.
Thank you.
Everyone always says that. And I think it's one of the reasons that Nanoleaf could succeed with a small team is because everyone is so capable, so talented, so hardworking, so smart. Everyone feels like they're really working together towards like a common goal, and it feels like almost like a family, you know, rather than like a team. In a lot of companies, you don't just see the CEO walking around the hallway asking how you're doing. It's a really nice environment, and I think that attitude is sort of passed along to our customers too, and why they can get that vibe from the product, a good vibe from a good company. So
We'll try our best.
Yeah, we do try our best. That's why we do awkward podcasts. Just
No. Well, this is our first time doing a podcast.
Yes.
Right? So it's kind of cool. I've never done a podcast. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
What's your favorite genre of podcasts?
My favorite genre? Oh, I listen to all sorts. I listen to wisdom from the top. So a lot of executives talking about their experiences. I listen to Raising Good Humans, which is about basically like how to bring up like toddlers and stuff. Right. It's actually kind of funny because the Raising Good Humans podcast, at one point in the podcast, they're like, our viewership is 98% female. I'm like, hey, I'm part of the 2% that actually listen to this. But it's really cool. It's like you get the perspective from moms about how to raise kids, and it's challenging, right? There's a lot of nuance to it. And I also listen to some other business ones. Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's one that I listen to as well. But it's, it depends on my mood. If I feel like having it work oriented, then I'll do like one of the ones like How I Built This or Wisdom from the Top.
That was a trick question. The correct answer was the Nanoleaf.
This is the first one ever. How would I listen to it?
You're listening to it in real time.
Oh, that's true.
So you like to listen to a lot of people from the top that kind of know what they're doing. What's the biggest piece of inspiration you think you've taken from a podcast or from a person in real life?
A lot of it has to do with, like, the executives will always talk about human connection and the human factor and how, one of my beliefs is like companies are it's just a group of people working together towards a goal. And so that human connection aspect is so important in creating something successful. And so, yeah, I think that would probably be the most important aspect of it. And even like creating products, how do you create a connection with your users? Or are you going off creating something that nobody ever wants to use? And it's hard. It's a hard balance. But yeah, and then there's so much to learn from other people that are smarter than you. A lot of them. I think everyone's got their strengths and weaknesses. And in these podcasts, they share kind of their deepest like thoughts and ways in which they could help kind of the next generation. So it's really cool. Yeah, I love podcasts. What about you? What's your favorite thing to do at Nanoleaf?
It's not necessarily my favorite thing to do, but something I really enjoy about it, and something that we all a lot of the times forget because of our, micro perspective, is seeing that people really love our products. It's when you see, especially on like social media and stuff, like the way people actually have it in their house and the captions. Like it's the pictures are great, but when people have the captions like, oh my God, best purchase in my life, I'm like, that is awesome. And you guys literally dreamed up that idea yourself. Like nothing similar existed. You literally invented it from scratch. How do you feel about all the copycats?
I think the copycats, there's definitely something flattering about it. There's something annoying about it too. But, like as a company, our goal is to continue to innovate. It's like innovate or die. Create something new and fresh or die. And so I don't really think too much about the copycats. If they've innovated on top of our product and made it better than our product, it means that we haven't been doing what we need to do, which is to innovate on top of it. It's annoying because it's like it's so much easier to copy a product than it is to create something from scratch, right? But we need to focus on what we do best, which is coming up with new ideas and delivering on them. So yeah, copycats they are what they are.
Nanoleaf really, like you said, is so good at innovation and coming up with new things. Like every product basically has been the first of its kind, from the light bulbs to the panels and stuff. And even with the Essentials line of the light bulbs and strips, they were the first consumer product to work with thread. So it was always about doing something new, doing something better, innovating, changing the game. So now with the world of smart home sort of developing the way it is, Nanoleaf already with like the lighting solutions, they're all smart products. So they work with your smart assistant, all things like that. But where do you see sort of like the future of smart home and where Nanoleaf, our products and our philosophy and everything sort of like fit into that?
Yeah, I think we're at the very beginning of smart home. So if you think about in your own social circle, how many people actually own smart lights? Well, outside of the people that work at Nanoleaf, of course. It's probably at about maybe 10%, maybe 20%, right? It's still very, very low. The mass majority haven't bought into smart lighting. They might have one or two smart products, maybe a thermostat. But in terms of what the future is for smart home, there's still a lot of growth ahead. And then with technologies like Matter and Thread coming out, I think that's going to propel the growth. But like in the next 10, 15, maybe 20 years, all lights are going to be smart. And every home is going to be smart. And then the question becomes, well, is the smart home going to be what it is today, which is like you just whip out your phone and like, look, I can turn off my lights from anywhere? No, it's not about that. It's about intelligence and automation and really having that experience where you move around your space and your house is able to do things on your behalf and anticipate what you want to do and just do it for you. And so for us as a company, we need to kind of pave the way and build towards that future. And I think that a lot of smart home companies are doing that from different angles and different directions. We're doing it from the angle of lighting. And I think it's exciting. It's an exciting journey. And I think our team is really excited about building it. And it's fun, right? It's like every day, it's like you come in, you tinker, you think about what the user experience needs to be. And you launch a product hoping you got it right. And if you didn't get it right, then you got to tweak it in version 2, version 3. And ultimately, a couple versions later, you have something that's great. Right. So I think that it's kind of the longer term journey that we're on. And right now we're still early. We're at the very beginning, I would say.
We had like a team building the other day, and a lot of people were sharing the thing that they're most excited about. And everyone was saying the new products, like the upcoming products. So everyone that in the public knows what we already have released, but only we know, and some people that we may have told the CEOs, but only we know what's coming up. And I think because, again, like we have been doing in the past, our upcoming smart home automation products are something that doesn't exist already. When you're creating a product that people have never seen before or used before and don't even know how it works, how do you think people are going to learn the benefits of it?
I think educating consumers is they say that it's one of the most expensive things to do. And the example that was given was like back in the day when they converted from bar soap to body wash, they had to teach people that, hey, body wash makes a lot of sense. This was Procter & Gamble. But for us with our products, like if we have to teach users what the benefit is, then I feel like we didn't do our jobs right. The product's not good enough. The best way to teach consumers is word of mouth. So if we create, like, for example, our panels, like you put them up on your wall and they're like, oh, they're so cool. Everyone's like, hey, what are these things? That's the best way to teach people, right? So you'll have your early adopters that buy into it, and hopefully it's good enough so that when their friends come over to their house, right when you walk in the room, like the lights turn on and turn on the projector and the blinds go down. And you're like, ooh, what was that? Well, that was Nanoleaf. And that's essentially like sort of like what smart home should be like. Right, where you have this experience where it feels like you walk into a space and like the red carpet just rolls out in front of you. And I think that's more of what what I believe is like headed for us in terms of smart home. I think there's a saying by, was it Bill Gates or something like that? Like people often overestimate what they could do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Yeah. So for us, it's like, yeah, we've built an international company now, and we're able to build so much more on top of that. So it's like, what can we do in the next 10 years? I think that's what's really exciting for me.
If you could say one thing to the community that has supported you for 10 years and made all of this possible, what would you say?
I think on behalf of the whole Nanoleaf team, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to create products that you guys could use and hopefully love.
Our community are the ones that have our products.
Yeah.
So they know them better almost than we do in some areas. And They have a perspective on them that we'll never get to have, which is that outsider perspective.
Definitely. Kai from our Facebook group, so he came down from Switzerland and he actually visited the Nanoleaf office, and that was cool because we've been speaking for years over Facebook, and he's been kind of he's made it really clear the Facebook community, it's like self-organized and like it's not owned by Nanoleaf and people could say whatever they want on there. But now I feel like, we built kind of a friendship, and it's really cool. It's really cool. Like, he lives like in like the Swiss Alps or something like that. He showed me a picture of his house. It looks beautiful. But yeah, we're super excited about all the new products that are coming out. And I think that I hope that our community will be equally excited about that, if not more.
Final wrap-up question.
All right.
And back in regards to the community, because our community is absolutely wild. Like, you've seen the things they come up with. You've seen, like, especially in that Facebook group, like those installations. What is the one craziest, maybe not necessarily like the best, but the craziest installation of our products you've ever seen?
I love the one that Kai made. You know, he was super creative, and this was early on, where he has, I don't know, 30, 40 panels just on his ceiling. He has panels on both sides. He did a music integration. He created his own like little connectors to make it all work, and he was able to sync it up with music in a way that even our rhythm module like barely even supports it. It was amazing. It was amazing what he created. I remember we did that I guess COVID like Zoom party where people from our community showed all their setups. There was so much cool stuff. I think one of the hardest things for me is figuring out what layout to put on the wall. Like half the time I'm like, I can't figure out what to do, and I just ask one of our designers to come in and help.
Yeah, people always want ideas, but their best ideas are their own ideas.
It's true. It's true.
Happy Nanoversary, 10 years.
10 years.
Good job.
10 years. Thank you.